Welcome to Climb English. I'm so glad you're here today. Before we begin, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Your support means everything. Today, I want to tell you a story. It's not just any story. It's a piece of someone's heart, wrapped in emotion and honesty. So sit back, take a deep breath, and let yourself feel every word. Because sometimes, the best way to learn English is by listening to a story that feels real. My name is Lily. I come from a small, quiet town called Greenvale. It's the kind of place where people still say hello to strangers on the street, where the air smells like trees and fresh bread in the morning, and the nights are so peaceful you can hear the crickets sing. Life in Greenvale isn't fast or loud. It moves gently, like a slow river. I grew up in a little yellow house at the corner of Maple Street. It wasn't big, but it held so many memories. The sound of my mother's laugh in the kitchen, the way my father would hum old songs while fixing the garden fence, and the cozy silence of rainy afternoons. Today, I want to tell you a story from my life, something that changed me. It's a memory I carry close to my heart. Maybe, just maybe, you'll find a piece of your own story in mine. When I was a little girl, I used to sit by my bedroom window and imagine what love would feel like. I dreamed of soft words whispered under moonlight, of someone who would look at me like I was the only person in the world. I believed in fairy tales, in happy endings, in hearts that understood each other without saying much. But even in those sweet daydreams, there was always a quiet fear, a fear of the unknown, of growing up, of stepping into a life I didn't fully understand. As I got older, those dreams stayed with me, but they changed a little. I started to hear other people's stories, some filled with happiness, others with pain. My cousins would share what their first love was like. My friends would whisper secrets late at night, some laughing, some crying. And deep inside me, that mixture of hope and fear grew stronger. I didn't know what my own story would be, but I knew it was coming, and I wasn't sure if I was ready. The day finally came. It felt like a dream wrapped in flowers, music, and nervous smiles. Everything moved so quickly. People hugging me, cameras flashing, voices calling my name. I smiled so much my cheeks ached, but inside, my heart was floating somewhere between joy and fear. I wore a pale pink dress, soft and simple, just the way I liked it. My parents held my hands tightly, their eyes full of pride and sadness. And then the moment I had been dreading arrived. I had to say goodbye to them, to my childhood home, to everything familiar. My mother's hands trembled slightly as she fixed a strand of hair behind my ear, and my father whispered, "Be brave, sweetheart." I nodded, but my chest felt heavy. As I stepped into the car that would take me to my new home, I looked back one last time. The sky was painted with the warm gold of sunset, and I wondered quietly, was this how a new life truly began, with a heart that was both excited and afraid? When we arrived at his house, my new home, everything felt unfamiliar, yet oddly gentle. The front door was decorated with marigold flowers, and soft lights glowed from the windows. His family greeted me with warm smiles and polite words. They offered sweets, blessed me, told me not to worry. I nodded, thanked them, smiled back. But inside I was trembling. My hands were cold, and I could feel the dryness in my mouth. My face wore the smile everyone expected, but my heart beat like a tiny drum trapped in a small cage. I noticed the scent of rose incense in the hallway, the way the marble floor reflected the soft lights above. Every detail felt too bright, too sharp, as if my senses were trying to hold on to something solid. And when the house became quiet, when the laughter faded, and the last guest left, that's when I felt it most, that I was somewhere new, somewhere unknown, and everything was about to begin. Later that night, someone gently opened the door to a room that had been prepared just for us. The lights inside were dim, casting a golden hue on the cream-colored walls. The bed was neatly made, its white sheets sprinkled with delicate red rose petals. A soft fragrance filled the air, something floral, calming, almost like jasmine. I stepped in slowly, my steps quiet, unsure. I sat at the edge of the bed, hands folded tightly in my lap, eyes lowered. My heart was beating so loudly, I thought he might hear it from the hallway. I didn't know what would happen next. I didn't know what was expected of me or if I'd do anything wrong. I had barely spoken to him before today, and now, suddenly, we were husband and wife. Everything felt surreal, like I was living in a story I hadn't read the ending to. My fingers trembled slightly as I waited, listening to the silence until finally I heard the doorknob turn, and my breath caught in my throat. The door opened slowly, quietly, as if not to startle me. I didn't look up, but I knew it was him, my new husband, Daniel. His steps were soft on the carpet as he walked in and gently closed the door behind him. I sat still, barely breathing, unsure of what to do or say. He didn't come too close. Instead, he sat beside me on the bed, leaving a little space between us. For a moment, neither of us spoke. The room was filled with a silence that didn't feel cold. It felt thoughtful, careful. Then he spoke, his voice low and calm. "Lily, I know this is all new and maybe a little scary. I just want you to feel safe. We don't need to rush anything. Let's just talk." His words were simple, but the way he said them felt like someone handing me a warm blanket on a cold night. Slowly, I turned to look at him. His eyes were kind and his smile was small, a little shy. And in that quiet moment, something inside me softened. He reached over to the nightstand and handed me a glass of water. As I took it, our fingers brushed for just a second, a light, fleeting touch, but enough to send a tiny wave through my chest. I felt the heat rise in my cheeks, and I quickly looked down, embarrassed. He noticed and let out a soft laugh, the kind that makes things feel a little less heavy. "You don't have to be nervous," he said, smiling. "I'm just as unsure as you are. Honestly, I stood outside the door for 5 minutes trying to breathe normally." I blinked, surprised. I had always imagined men to be confident, bold, certain. But here he was, admitting that he was scared too. There was something deeply comforting about that honesty. He wasn't pretending to be someone he wasn't. He was just human. The kind of human that makes you feel seen, not judged. He started telling me about how he once wore mismatched socks to an interview, or how he accidentally waved at a stranger thinking it was his cousin. I laughed, just a little, but enough. Enough to feel like maybe this room, this night, this person, it might not be so frightening after all. There was a quiet pause between us, the kind that doesn't feel awkward, just still, like the world is catching its breath. Then he looked at me, not with expectation, but with care, and asked softly, "Lily, would it be okay if I held your hand?" I hesitated for just a second, then gave the smallest nod. He reached out and gently took my hand in his. His touch was warm, steady, not demanding, not uncertain, just kind. He didn't squeeze or rush, he simply held it, like it was something precious. And in that small gesture, something shifted inside me. My chest still felt tight, but it wasn't fear anymore. It was something gentler, something that almost felt like trust. His thumb brushed lightly over the back of my hand in slow circles, and I could feel every little movement. I looked up at him again. Really looked. He wasn't trying to be perfect. He was just there. Real. Patient. Present. And that, more than anything, made me feel like I could finally breathe. He leaned in just a little, not too close, and his voice dropped to a whisper. "We don't have to do anything tonight, Lily. I just want you to feel safe. With me, with this moment." And that was it. That simple sentence, spoken so gently, broke something open in me. Tears filled my eyes before I even understood why. Maybe it was the relief. Maybe it was the weight of everything I'd been carrying. The worries, the fears, the questions I was too afraid to ask. And now, here was someone who didn't want anything but my peace. He reached up slowly and brushed the tears from my cheeks with his fingers. His touch was light, not filled with want, but with care. It made me close my eyes for a moment just to feel it more clearly. Then, without a word, he pressed a soft kiss to my forehead. It wasn't a kiss that asked for anything. It was a promise, a quiet one. A promise that I didn't need to change or perform or be anyone else but myself. And in that moment, I felt something I hadn't expected to feel at all. Safe. That night, we didn't try to be anything other than two people figuring out how to begin. We lay side by side, fully dressed, beneath the soft covers that smelled faintly of lavender. He held me gently, one arm around my shoulder, my head resting quietly on his chest. I could hear his heartbeat, steady, calm, real. It didn't rush me, it didn't push, it just beat, again and again, like a lullaby I never knew I needed. His hand moved slowly down my arm, not in desire, but in comfort, as if to remind me I wasn't alone. Every touch felt like a conversation without words, and every second passed like a sigh. He kissed the top of my head, and I closed my eyes. In that moment, I didn't feel like a wife or someone who had to live up to anyone's idea of what this night was supposed to be. I just felt like Lily, a girl learning how to trust, held by someone who wanted to earn that trust, not take it. We stayed like that for a long time. No expectations, no pressure, just closeness, just breath, just beginning. Eventually, he leaned toward me and kissed me. Softly, gently, like he was asking a question with his lips. There was no rush in it, no urgency, just a quiet moment shared between two people who were slowly finding their way toward each other. It wasn't perfect. We both felt a little shy, a little unsure, but it felt right because it came from a place of care, not expectation. I didn't pull away. I didn't feel scared. I felt ready. Not because I had to be, but because he gave me this space to decide. That night wasn't about romance in the way stories or movies often show it. It was about something deeper. Respect. Honesty. A shared breath in the dark. We weren't trying to impress each other. We were just being human. Messy, tender, real. And as I lay in his arms, with my heart beating calmly at last, I realized that love doesn't have to be loud or dramatic. Sometimes the quietest nights are the ones you remember forever. Now when I look back, I don't smile because of what happened. I smile because of how it happened. Because he didn't try to own the moment. He offered it to me, gently. Because I was never made to feel small or uncertain or alone. That night became the quiet beginning of something beautiful, not because it was flawless, but because it was honest. To every girl listening right now, I want you to know your first night or any moment that feels big and unfamiliar belongs to you. You have the right to feel safe, to take your time, to breathe. It's not about pressure. It's not about meeting expectations. It's about two hearts learning how to listen to each other. And to every man out there, be kind, be patient, make her feel seen, not just looked at, loved, not just wanted. Because real love doesn't rush, Real love stays and waits and understands. If this story touched you even just a little, please like, comment, and share. Let's make space for more stories where love begins with kindness. Always.